Welcome, Coaches Roundtable. I'm Ed Codi, and welcome our guest, the Sports Director, 93.7 The Fan, Jeff Hathhorn. And Jeff, congratulations, winner of 3 straight AP awards for Best Sports Cast, Best Reporter, and Best Weekend Show. It's a great, great show. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate it.
Hey, Jeff, while the big story in Pittsburgh, of course, the Steelers, first 9 games, 7-2. Who saw that coming? I had them 5-4 and looking at a 9-8 season. How surprised are you?
I'm surprised. You knew that if they were going to have a good season, they had to have a good front half because it was going to get harder with the schedule. But they had a lot of questions coming in. I mean, even at the most important position, quarterback, they redid the entire room. There was a new configuration of the offensive line, and that group dealt with injuries. You brought in Dante Jackson. What was he going to be at the other corner position? So there was some question marks coming in of what you thought this team might be. And even though this front half of the schedule is more favorable than the second half, you still didn't know how that was going to come together. And what's impressed me over the last couple is they're not just winning games. They found ways to win games over the last couple of years, but they're finding ways to score. You give up 27 over the last couple of years. There was very little chance you could win. But with this offense, you feel like you've got a chance the way they're playing over the last couple of weeks.
And to win a game where JT Watt doesn't have a tackle, doesn't have a sack, and yet they gave up 2 long scoring drives, and yet the defense finds ways to come up with plays when it's necessary to win. That's my only concern going into these last 8 games. Their games against Dallas and the Colts and the Giants and now the Redskins. They've given up some long drives, which is a little bit surprising to me. And that's my concern going into these final 8 games.
Yeah, there's a little bit of listen against Baltimore. It's going to be exaggerated because they can score in bunches. It's a good offensive unit. I have a little bit, although I think that the linebacker play is getting a little bit better. I think Patrick Queen's starting to settle in. Uh, Washington's a good unit, so I want to give a little bit of credit to them for being able to put together a drive. But yeah, there's a little bit of concern on defense. But then again, I feel better about it because I think the offense can make up for defensive mistakes. And, in Washington, they also got put in a bad situation with that when that fake punt was dropped.
Yeah, that I'm not sure what the reasoning was, and from your own 16-yard line and 4th and 15, kind of uncharacteristic of them. So when you look at their 7-2 record, is this Mike Tomlin's best coaching job first half of a season? And
Hmm.
how much credit do you give to Arthur Smith for getting this offense that's progressively gotten better?
Well, I think Mike's probably had the toughest decision he's had to make in the first half of the season. You're 4-2. I mean, you've got a winning record. You're right there in the division, and you change quarterbacks. Even though it seemed like there was some momentum building with Justin Fields, you made that decision to switch quarterbacks, and that's paid off for him. That's a gutsy call for a coach to do that at that point. But I give a lot of credit to Arthur Smith. Here's what I think is different. Over the last couple of years, by this time of year, the players are still, offense players have been saying a lot, well, what is our identity? We're searching for our identity. When Arthur Smith came in, there was no doubt what they wanted to do. They wanted to be physical. They wanted to be able to run the ball and then take advantage of play action passes. That's what they've done over the last few weeks. And I think over the course of the season, you saw that there was a mentality they had. There's more discipline with Arthur than we've seen in the last couple of years. He holds guys accountable, and they really like him. Like there's a bond between now. Success grows those bonds, but I give a lot of credit to Arthur Smith for what we're seeing from the Steelers team, obviously on the offensive side.
Well, let's look at this Baltimore game. It should be wild. Baltimore leads the NFL in almost every offensive category, averaging nearly 32 points a game, but their defense stinks. Fourth quarter, they've been outscored 107-83. Having said that, it looks like a 48-40 game coming up here, but these games between the Steelers and Baltimore don't always follow script.
No, you see a lot of 10-7, 17-10s, 16-10, something along those lines. It's just it seems to be low scoring games so many times. Now there were some, back a decade ago that got into some higher scoring games. Listen, Baltimore offensively is the best in the league. What they have done that should worry their coaches, they give up a ton of passes deep in the middle of the field, intermediate and deep. They've given up 47 pass plays of over 20 yards, which is the most in the league. That doesn't sound like a Harbaugh defense. So they've got some issues. They brought in another rotational defensive back to try to help. But man, this should be an opportunity for the Steelers to exploit the middle of the field because the Ravens have not had an answer to it. Now, to be fair, they played the Bengals twice. They played Kansas City in that list, and they can exploit any defense. But man, this Ravens D is not what we've seen in some years. Not the one that won them a Super Bowl, 20 years ago. This is a group that is a liability, or at least has been in the first half of the season.
Well, they certainly have the offensive weapons. Lamar having a tremendous year, 24 touchdown passes, just 2 picks. And Derrick Henry, who thought he was old? This guy, size and speed. And then they have more receivers. And then they add Deontay Johnson to the receiving core. And you have covering. Who's going to cover Zay Flowers? And then the often overlooked other receivers who step in and have big games, and they have some pretty good tight ends too. The
Well,
Steelers secondary really is going to be tested this week.
yeah, they're going to be on notice this week, and as you mentioned, not just the guys on the outside, but they have multiple pass catching tight ends. They have different guys that can make plays from the tight end position. And then if you worry too much about all of that, Derrick Henry is going to run around you, over you, by you, through you. I mean, this guy, he's got an old school 1,000 yards. He's got 1,000 yards in only 10 games. I mean, this is like a legit one of the best rushing first halves we've seen in a long time. And the guy is amazing because he's that size and he can run 22 miles an hour. Then you combine all of that with Lamar's ability to run. He's 21st in the league in rushing overall as a quarterback. And still he's doing all those things throwing the ball. I mean, you're going to have to be able to score to keep up with this team. That's what teams that have given them troubles have done, or they've made mistakes. We saw them make mistakes against the Raiders, saw them make mistakes against the Browns, especially against the Browns. They couldn't get that run game going. If the Steelers can make them one-dimensional, that would help slow this offense down.
Well, after the 9 games, 7-2, can we say this team's a legitimate contender for the AFC title?
I believe it. I do. I didn't over the last couple of years, just because they didn't have that look. They didn't be able to do some of the things that a playoff team will need to do. This one I think is different. They've got some of those keys on defense, and I do think the defense will get better. I think Queen is still working his way into that defense, and you've seen improvement in his numbers over the last few weeks. But when you have a quarterback like Russell Wilson, uh, things are possible. And I think because of how the pieces have come together, they've got a little depth. They added Mike Williams. I think that's a sneaky nice add. And I think Preston Smith on the other side is a nice depth add, especially now with Alex Highsmith dealing with an injury. So, yeah, I do think it's a team. I don't know if they can win at Kansas City, but I like their chances a lot better than I did, in the playoffs the last couple of years.
Well, you mentioned Kansas City, and how important the Steelers have not won a playoff game in 8 years, 5 straight losses. How important is it for them to get a home game in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the last time they were at home was that embarrassing Browns game. But yeah, I mean, you want them to, if they could take that first step, which is winning a playoff game, home obviously helps. And it means that they go into the playoffs in a good situation because they're going to have a good enough record to host a game. Uh, so yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a team limping into the playoffs or a team barely getting into the playoffs if you have a home game. But yeah, I agree with you. If they can get a home game, and man, I want to see Cincinnati out of this. But beyond the Ravens, Steelers, Buffalo, and Kansas City, uh, the other teams that would be in the postseason, I think the Steelers, I would have a good opportunity against at home.
Hey, Jeff, appreciate you taking time. I wish we had more time to talk about Pitt and, of course, the Penguins, but we don't. That would be for another time. But thanks for joining us, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you. I'll be right back with Alan George.
At Armstrong, our goal is delivering the best possible experience to our customers. We hold our work to high standards, and the safety of our employees, as well as the community, is essential. Our employees, contractors, and equipment are easily identifiable. We strive to be as unintrusive as possible, restoring public and private property to the way we found it. Because at Armstrong, it's not just about getting the job done. It's about doing it right and doing it safely.
I'm back, joined to my right by the Swami George Abraham, to my left, the Tiger Albert Campman. And before we start, this week honoring our veterans, we appreciate all their service and those who made the ultimate sacrifice. And I want to honor my father was a 4-year Army veteran, my brothers who were Army veterans, and my 4 uncles who fought in World War II. 2 of them were Purple Hearts. I'm sure you guys have relatives that were also
Yeah, my dad
involved.
was a Marine.
Yeah,
My
nice.
dad was in the Navy.
Nice,
Mhm.
nice. Great generation for all that they.
Yeah, they stepped
Done.
out the bat, didn't they?
Yeah,
I mean, guys like Ted Williams leaving,
yeah,
wanting to go.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yogi
Yeah,
Berra,
MVP, service, MVP. Yogi was the same way. Yogi was there in Normandy.
16 million Americans fought and served in World War II. There are less than 2 million surviving today.
Yes, and this goes out to the young people. They don't recognize.
No.
They just take it for granted because,
Uh-huh. It's not for granted.
Mhm.
Hey, let's go to high school football. The playoffs, deep into the playoffs, rushing. Eric Kasparovich of Mars, 108. McLean Miller of Pine Ridge, 104. That was in a 42-0 win over Franklin Regional. Passing, what a year this kid's had. Well over 3,000 yards. Joey Felitsky, North Catholic, threw for 303 and 2 TDs in a 45-42 loss to Elizabeth Forward. Chris Smiley of Elwood City, 165 in a quarterfinal win, 13-12 over South Allegheny. Nate Walker, freshman of Mars, 153 in a 35-7 loss to McKeesport. Brady Brinkley of North Allegheny, 144 in a 48-14 win over Mount Lebanon semifinal game. Drew Ross of Freeport threw for 135 in a 35-7 loss to Central Valley. And receiving, Gabe Hine of Mars, 7 for 100 yards. Joe Safar, North Catholic, 3 for 98. Danny King of Freeport, 3 for 77. Tom Arth of North Catholic, 4 for 64. Will Waskowitz of North Catholic, 4 for 57. Riker Kennedy of North Catholic, 4 for 51. Looking at the playoffs, 6A, the championship game will be no surprise here. North Allegheny 10-1 versus Central Catholic 9-2. It's a third straight year, the first time in the history of the WPIAL that 2 teams have met 3 straight years.
Tell them to be there
And I
next
mean,
year.
not next year.
It might
yeah.
be 10. I was just
Yeah.
thinking of that.
Yeah.
Who's stopping that?
Central defeated Seneca Valley 38-14, and it was 31-0 at the half. And coach called off the dogs. I mean, a smart thing to do. And
Stay healthy.
What? Stay healthy.
Yeah.
And why pour it on at that point? Hey, in 5A, the semis, Pine Richland 10-1. They'll take on Bethel Park 11-2. This ought to be a terrific game. And Upper St. Clair 11-0 takes on Peters Township 10-1. Boy, there are 2 good games right there.
Yeah, I picked Peters Township to win it, but I'll tell you what, these are 4 really good teams.
Very
That 5A's loaded.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
And in 4A, Thomas Jefferson knocks out the Quips 38-21 with a powerful run game that they displayed. Now in the championship game, it'll be TJ 12-0 versus McKeesport 8-4. Give McKeesport a chance? No. Okay.
If Alcoa couldn't
Right.
beat them, I'll say that McKeesport.
Right.
But I'll say this, that the PIA finally find a place to put Alcoa to finally get them knocked out. I mean, they tried hard for years. We got to find a play. We got to get them out of there. And they got Southern Columbia out this year, too. So they got two for the price of one.
In 3A, the semis will be Amani Christian 11-0 versus, they're always there, Avonworth
Mm-hmm.
8-3.
They've been really
9-3. They have a chance to win this game, Avonworth.
Well, after last game, Highlands gave it Monte Cristo all they could handle. So I think Monte Cristo was supposed to be a sure thing. Don't sound like a sure thing now.
And Central Valley 6-5 versus Elizabeth Forward 8-3. Central Valley came on strong at the end of the season.
Well, there's the proof right there. You play a schedule. They played four teams,
Mhm.
6A and 5A.
Right.
So you see the record and you say, wait a minute, they lost five games.
You know, I always, Susan, same when I heard the 4 losses of McKeesport. Like, I don't get excited because I know they were playing people.
Exact same
It
thing.
makes a
yes.
difference. And in 2A, semifinals will be Elwood City 10-0 versus South
Go
Park
Wolverines.
10-1. I'm rooting for the Wolverines. And Seton LaSalle 10-0 versus Steel Valley. There are 2 real good games there also.
Yes. You're not sure. Nobody's sure about it. That's you flip the coin.
That's the way you want it to be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And in 1A semis, the Fort Cherry there again, they're 12-0. They take on Jeanette 8-3. Clareton 12-0 versus Bishop Canavan 9-2.
Well, Clareton has been the team under the radar this year. They're not just good; they're tremendous. They give up no points to score, but Fort Cherry's dangerous because of their quarterback.
Yeah, he's a Division I
yes.
recruit. District 9 1A semi. Red Bank Valley 31, Union AC Valley 13. Union AC Valley had a nice year, 8-4. A terrific quarterback in Owen Bishy had 139 total yards. And in field hockey, the Pine Richland girls, they won their 6th straight 3A WPIAL title and 7th overall under Coach Donna Stevenson. The regular season, they were 20-0, but then the PIAA playoffs, they lost to Mechanicsburg 2-0. You just can't get by those Eastern teams.
They're better.
They're better. Plain and simple.
If a team from here goes and wins, it has to be a tremendous team.
And they've played these games a little longer in the eastern part of the state.
Yeah, it's been a longer development
Yeah.
there. Hey, volleyball girls, 4A, North Allegheny 3, North Catholic 1. How about the second set? It was North Allegheny winning 33-31.
That wore some people out in that one.
Oh, my.
It was the 10th WPL title for the Tigers, now looking for an 8th PIAA title. They defeated Bishop Shanahan 3-1 to get their 8th straight trip to the semis.
We just laugh about them every year.
Yeah.
It's an automatic. Yeah.
Hey, and then 3A, Mars 3, Hampton 2 for the WPL champs. Winning that PIAA game. Cecilia Christie with 22 kills. Next up, they take on Beaver.
I don't know much about them, but I know this. They're always good, too.
All right, and in girls soccer, District 9 1A, the Corn City girls won their 4th straight title, 1-0 win over Brockway on a freshman Caitlin Van Dyke's goal. Van Dyke also had the winning goal in a 2-1 PIAA win over Winchester Thurston. And in the quarterfinals, Corn City lost 1-0 to Seton LaSalle. They finished a great year, 17-5. And in 4A WPL Championship, Seneca Valley lost 5-4 to Peters Township on penalty kicks. And in the PIAA, they beat Altoona 6-1 in the first round. Ashley Libby had a hat trick. Quarterfinals, they lost to Conestoga 2-0. Raiders finished 15-3-2. And in 3A, Mars defeated WPL champ South Allegheny 1-0 on a Meredith Ashball goal. South Allegheny defeated Mars in the WPL quarterfinals. Next up for Mars, PIAA semis versus Lower Dauphin. And in 2A, Erie Prep 2, North Catholic 1. North Catholic finishes 17-5. Let's go to our stories of the week. And what story it is? In a thrilling game where both teams made enough mistakes to lose and made big plays. The Steelers made one more big play to win at Washington, a huge win, 28-27.
Yeah, don't think that ain't a really good win because Washington's good.
Tremendous win.
Yeah, Washington's good. You go on the road in the NFL. You always see it every week. You go on the road in the NFL. You try to hope to come out with a win, and they did.
2 things impressed me. Wilson didn't have his best game, but he threw 3 touchdown passes. The clutch 32-yarder to Mike Williams, his only reception of the game. And while the Steelers' defense bends, they get this only thing that bothers me in games against the Giants, the Cowboys, the Colts, and now what they've given up some long touchdown drives, but they did a great job containing Jaden Daniels. Who only rushed for 5 yards.
Yeah, that's why they won the game.
They didn't run him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why.
They didn't run him.
Nobody seems to know.
I
was
think
it
he had
Pittsburgh?
chances.
Was it whatever? But I heard it on a lot of national shows, wondering why he didn't run. I'm not saying he couldn't. He didn't.
No, a couple times when he ran, made hand it off to the line. I thought, man, if he pulls the ball and takes off to the outside, but was he hurt? What was the reason there?
We don't know
him not
that.
running the ball, and they're not going to say. Now, you look at the positive things. You win a game where JT Watt doesn't have a tackle. That tells you something. And where your rushing game only averaged 3.2 yards a game. But the thing about Wilson, while he was only 14 of 28, he made clutch plays when he had to. And a couple of runs he made.
Yeah, I will give Campman credit for that because I was against that. I wanted Fields to stay. He made the right choice because Wilson throws the ball down the field and gives the Pickens a chance to catch the ball.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, talk a game of inches, as Bob Prince always used to say. Washington came within a half a yard of getting that first down. We're at the Steelers 38 late in the game to set up a possible game-winning field goal. And then 4th and 1, when everyone in the world everyone, even kids in nursery school, knew that the Steelers weren't going to run the ball. Washington jumps.
I think that comment you made goes overlooked. The Steelers do better than anybody in the NFL. They tackle.
Yeah.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
If that's not a good tackle there, that guy gets the first down. They put him down. You ask me why do they win games?
I thought they were going to overrule it when they showed it. Looked like he caught it right at the line for the first down.
11 tacklers on the field. They can put you down.
Now, well, I give Mike Tomlin credit. I think he's done a tremendous job at this team. I saw them 5-4 after these first 9. But I'm going to give a lot of credit to Arthur Smith for what he's done, gradually building this offense.
Yeah, they can run and pass now.
Yeah,
I thought when he got Arthur Smith, they'd only be able to run the ball. He has developed a good passing game.
I worry about Najee Harris. He's going to be healthy for this game.
They got Warren. They have Warren.
The only thing I worry about him is he fumbles the ball.
Sometimes he does.
The fumble at the 1.
I thought that one at the 1, I thought he was going backwards.
Is that right?
I thought that should have been blown. In other words, I know they're trying to push him forward and they're pushing him backward. It seemed to me his progress had been stopped.
Looked like the ball was.
No, he wasn't down.
He wasn't down.
No, he wasn't down.
Hey, the one play I question, even if it would have been good, fake punt from your own 16,
you didn't like that,
4th and 5th. No, I did
Wide
not.
open.
Yeah, I know.
Wide open. Still. If you don't play the game of football the right way,
who's throwing the ball?
They study that the whole game. They practice that all week.
I know.
The guy said I caught everyone.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Kid said I caught everyone.
That's what I said. They practice it all week.
Yeah. Well, it led to a Washington touchdown, but all right.
That's a good thing to talk about, though. That's what's funny about sports.
Yeah.
That
I didn't care for the
some
call.
people would like to call, some people wouldn't.
There's only one question. Did it work? If it worked, everybody liked it.
Everybody liked it.
Good point,
right.
George.
Hey, now let's go to the game coming up with Baltimore. The Steelers 7-2, Baltimore 7-3. You look at the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, 24 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. They got skilled players all over the place. If you look at advantages, Baltimore skilled players, the advantage theirs. Offensive line, the advantage theirs. You go to defense, advantage, Steelers defensive line, Steelers linebackers. I think the secondaries slight edge to the Steelers. Baltimore gives up some big plays. Special teams are even. Coaching's even. But Baltimore, while they average 31 points a game, and their defense stinks.
This year,
in the fourth quarter, how they've been outscored 107-83 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they lost to the Raiders. I mean, they've been ahead 2 touchdowns 4 or 5 times. They've lost twice.
Since he could easily be 6-4 instead of 4-6.
Yes.
They've been outscored by Baltimore 76-72 in those 2 games. Burrow's thrown for 820 yards and 9 touchdowns. I would have to think Wilson's going to have a field day.
Yeah, but my thought is this: Cincinnati's more powerful offensive than Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Burrow's the best.
I worry about this matchup because Baltimore's talent level is tremendous.
You know what it's going to be, though.
Pittsburgh sees the play.
You know what it's going to be. They've beaten them 8 out of 9. It's going to be one of those slugfests. It seems like they're so familiar. First one to 24. I'll be shocked if it looks like 31-30.
Yeah,
but I'll be shocked.
I have a Steelers winning 37-34. But Joey Porter has to play better than what he did against Washington. Kenny covers Zay Flowers. But you can't focus just on him. Now they have Deontay Johnson, Bateman, and those tight ends. And then let's not forget Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I don't like the matchup. I really don't. I mean, I picked Baltimore to go to the Super Bowl, so I can't go off it. Pittsburgh's playing great, but I just think Baltimore's so talented.
King Henry. What did Tomlin call? He said, "That's Mr. Jackson."
No, a 24 touch, 2 interceptions. It should be a terrific game. I'm leaning towards the Steelers, though, 37-34.
Oh, no, you just
What
cursed
should
them.
be-
You just cursed them
No,
back.
don't say that.
Curse. Oh,
No.
no, they
Hey,
curse.
you know, Cincy, I know this sounds crazy. They're the best 4-6 team that you
Not
might
gonna get
ever
in.
see.
Yeah.
And don't count them out yet.
There's 3 sides of the game. I'll say it again.
Yeah.
Now listen, the Steelers have won 2 or 3 games with their special teams. Cincinnati's special teams stink.
Yes.
Their defense is average. You have to try to win with one side of the ball, and you can't do it in the NFL.
And think about them for a wild card. Their own division's getting 1 for sure. San Diego's getting 1 for sure. There's 1 left.
Yeah, San Diego, their defense is tremendous. And you just look around the NFL. I know the Chiefs are 9-0, but man, they could have lost to Baltimore. They could have lost this
Well, I was
game.
about to say right now,
Denver.
they're not winning the Super Bowl.
No, I don't think so
I was about
either.
to say that right
A
now.
walk-off block field goal. How in the world did that look like?
Denver, 4 guys were in there. You know that.
People ought to study what Denver.
George,
and
what's the
Char-
stats on that field goal you told me?
There have been like,
Oh,
there have been 7, and the ones that are blocked are all 50 and over because they have to kick them on a line. This was a gimme.
the last 2 years, take a look at what Denver has beaten the Chiefs. They give them fits. There's something that Sean Payton knows and does against the Chiefs that works.
I know this. I was wrong on that one, too. Bo Nix is good. I mean,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
completely
Oh,
wrong. He's
yeah.
a good quarterback.
Hey,
Yes.
how about your quarterback throws 5 interceptions? You lose, right?
I know.
Not if it's Detroit. They
No.
came back. What's that tell you about this team and their coach? Just terrific that the faith that he has in his team and the way they play, even under great adversity. And that was 5 interceptions by your quarterback, and they came back to win 26-23. I'm a little disappointed in Houston.
They're hurt, though.
They're hurt.
They're going to
banged up
get their receivers back.
Yeah.
And when they do,
Tank
look out.
Dell,
Their
yeah.
Houston will take off. But the offensive line for Detroit, you know how I talk about that, Eddie. The best in football. And when you're rubbing offensive line, you can do things.
Now, what's the biggest story so far in the NFL? Is it the Steelers 7-2, or is it Arizona 6-4 with a beatdown on the Jets 31-6?
I check out both of them.
I did see that one coming.
I
I'm
didn't
not a
see
Jets-
Arizona
Oh,
coming.
the Jets. Oh, they're so bad.
Oh, the Jets. Yeah,
They're
time
just
for Aaron.
Just go away, Aaron. Go
Yeah.
away.
Not every 40-year-old quarterback is Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, he can't play anymore. See, that's the
Yeah,
part that
no,
bothers
right.
me. If he could, why don't they look at that and say it honestly?
Mm-mm.
He can't play anymore.
I think Woody Johnson's a little bit of a jock sniffer.
Well,
you know that.
Yeah, I could be. And
Well,
here's
I know he's sniffing Rodgers.
Yeah.
here's something else about before we finish here. This big game with Baltimore. The key for the Steelers is they haven't won a playoff game in 8 years, 0-5, is to get a home playoff game. Even though they got blown out by the Browns a few years ago, they need to play at home.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, that's it for us. We've run out of time. We'll see you next time.
What you doing?
I'm gonna fix that toilet.
A sledgehammer.
Hey, you never know.
Maybe we should call a plumber.
No, I got this.
At Armstrong Comfort Solutions, our professional plumbers and service techs are standing by to help with all your plumbing and HVAC needs.
Everything okay down there?
Maybe I should call Armstrong Comfort Solutions.
Armstrong Comfort Solutions, where comfort is our middle name.
Zoom from Armstrong presents Home Pass Heroes. Jim wants to know where his kids are at all times.
What can I say? I'm a protective dad.
The Home Pass app, free with Zoom's enhanced Wi-Fi, lets him set primary devices for everybody in the household or frequent guests. Now he gets an alert when his kids leave or his mother-in-law arrives. Be the hero of your network with Zoom's enhanced Wi-Fi and the free Home Pass app. Available on the App Store and Google Play.